Kindness is often seen as one of humanity's greatest virtues, a tender gift that speaks of love, compassion, and a noble heart. But have you ever wondered why, sometimes, your kindness is met with disregard, even contempt? Why does the good you give to others feel misunderstood or even exploited? In this video, we'll unravel the hidden truths about kindness, its power, its pitfalls, and the wisdom it requires to truly thrive. You'll discover how kindness, when paired with strength and boundaries, becomes a force for transformation, not just for others, but for yourself. Learn how to protect the integrity of your kindness, avoid being taken for granted, and create meaningful, empowering connections that uplift everyone involved. This is not just a lesson about kindness. It's a guide to reclaiming your strength, your respect, and your inner peace. Whether you've been hurt by unreciprocated kindness, feel undervalued, or simply want to build healthier relationships, this video is for you. Stay until the end to uncover how the combination of wisdom and kindness can transform your relationships and your life, ensuring your generosity is met with the dignity and appreciation it deserves. Let's dive into the deeper meaning of kindness and how to wield it with courage, grace, and purpose. Before we start, I'd appreciate your support. If you like the video, please subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated on future lessons from God. Boundaries are not the enemy of kindness. They are its fiercest protector, its unwavering shield. When you say no with firmness and grace, you are not shutting someone out. You are safeguarding the purity of your generosity and the sincerity of your care. Without the structure that boundaries provide, kindness risks becoming a hollow gesture, a draining sacrifice that leaves you depleted, misunderstood, and even resentful. Instead of fostering connection, unguarded kindness often breeds tension and erodes the respect you might otherwise inspire. True kindness is an extraordinary act of selflessness, born from the wellspring of empathy and a deep-seated desire to bring light into the lives of others. It is not simply a reflex to please, but a conscious, deliberate choice to extend warmth, understanding, and compassion. Yet, for kindness to remain genuine and transformative, it must arise from a place of inner strength. It cannot flourish in the soil of fragility, fear, or a desperate need to be liked. Its roots must be grounded in self-respect and an unshakable sense of self-worth. To truly grasp the essence of kindness, we must distinguish it from its counterfeit version, a diluted form often disguised as goodwill but driven by fear of rejection or a compulsion to seek approval. Authentic kindness is an act of courage. It demands stepping outside the comfort of one's ego to prioritize the well-being of others while preserving one's dignity. The genuinely kind person forgives, helps, and understands not because they feel pressured to, but because such actions resonate deeply with their values and principles. This distinction is vital. Kindness given with strings attached, with an unspoken expectation of reciprocity or approval, is not kindness at all. It is a subtle transaction. Actions veiled as selflessness but fueled by a craving for acknowledgement often lead to disillusionment, bitterness, and even regret when those expectations go unmet. True kindness thrives on strength because it enables a person to give freely, without compromising their integrity or expecting anything in return. Strength also equips one with the wisdom to discern when kindness is constructive and when it may inadvertently perpetuate harm. There is a profound difference between supporting someone in need and repeatedly rescuing someone who refuses to take accountability for their choices. Genuine kindness involves tough questions. Will my actions empower this person or hinder their growth? Will my assistance uplift them, or will it inadvertently enable harmful behavior? Answering these questions requires inner resolve and the fortitude to sometimes make difficult decisions, including saying no. True kindness also stands resilient against the storms of indifference and criticism. When rooted in strength, kindness does not falter or crumble if it goes unnoticed, unappreciated, or misunderstood. A person grounded in authentic kindness finds fulfillment in the simple act of giving, knowing that they have acted with integrity. They do not seek applause or validation. Their satisfaction is internal, born from living in alignment with their deepest values. On the other hand, when kindness is fueled by a desire for external approval, it becomes fragile and easily wounded by rejection or ingratitude. Consider this: a friend is spiraling into self-destruction. To offer them a kind word and avoid confrontation might seem compassionate, but is it true? Enabling their harmful choices by staying silent or smoothing over the truth often perpetuates their pain. Real kindness, the kind that stems from love and courage, might mean having painful conversations, drawing firm boundaries, or even stepping back to let them face the natural consequences of their actions. These decisions are far from easy, but they are profoundly kind in their intent to nurture the other person's growth and long-term well-being. Equally important, kindness must coexist with self-respect. Without it, kindness devolves into mere civility, a behavior that prioritizes the comfort of others at the expense of your own needs and well-being. Kindness rooted in self-respect is balanced and sustainable. It acknowledges the noble act of helping others while recognizing that your health, happiness, and boundaries are equally sacred. It's a reminder that your well-being is not a price to be paid for someone else's comfort. Boundaries and kindness are inseparable allies. Together, they create a space where empathy and respect thrive, where relationships are built on trust rather than obligation, and where generosity flows freely without draining the giver. When you honor your limits, you honor the strength that makes your kindness meaningful. True kindness does not demand perfection, constant availability, or self-sacrifice. It demands integrity, courage, and above all, love. And when offered from this place of strength, kindness becomes a gift not only to others but to yourself as well, a luminous thread weaving connection, respect, and humanity into the fabric of life. This balance is essential because a depleted, resentful giver is ultimately of little benefit to anyone. True kindness requires a deep reservoir of inner abundance, a recognition that you possess enough emotional, mental, and physical resources to give without depleting yourself. When kindness is offered from a place of scarcity or exhaustion, it loses its authenticity and becomes an act of self-sacrifice that leaves the giver feeling drained, unappreciated, and invisible. The ability to exercise restraint is a hallmark of genuine kindness. There are moments when withholding immediate comfort or assistance is not only necessary but the kindest act one can perform. This restraint takes wisdom, patience, and the willingness to endure temporary discomfort for the greater good. Consider the example of a parent disciplining their child. While it may feel more compassionate at the moment to shield the child from the consequences of their actions, doing so robs them of the opportunity to learn resilience, accountability, and independence. Similarly, in relationships, kindness sometimes demands that we resist the urge to fix or rescue others. Allowing someone to navigate their struggles, even when it pains us to watch, can be an act of profound love and respect. True kindness is empowering. Its purpose is not to create dependency but to inspire strength in others. A kind person does not act out of pity or a misguided sense of superiority, but from a place of genuine care, understanding, and respect for the other person's potential. Empowering kindness builds others up, encouraging growth, resilience, and confidence. It is not about shielding people from life's difficulties or cushioning every fall but about walking beside them, offering support when needed, and allowing them the dignity of discovering their strength. Sometimes, the most empowering kindness is stepping back entirely, giving others the space to stumble, learn, and rise again. This form of kindness can feel counterintuitive, even cold, but it is rooted in the belief that each individual possesses the capacity for growth. To offer this type of kindness requires a level of emotional maturity and inner strength that is both rare and remarkable. Yet, even the purest acts of kindness can be misinterpreted, often because of how kindness is perceived by others. Human interactions are layered with complexity, influenced by societal norms, personal experiences, and the often unspoken dynamics of power. When kindness is extended repeatedly without boundaries, it can unintentionally signal to others that the giver is willing to tolerate behaviors they should not. This lack of boundaries can lead to kindness being mistaken for weakness, opening the door to exploitation and disrespect. At its core, disrespect often stems not from an inherent flaw in kindness itself, but from a misunderstanding of the giver's intentions. In many relationships, acts of kindness are filtered through the lens of power dynamics. When one person appears overly accommodating, constantly agreeable, or eager to please, others may mistakenly view this as a lack of strength or self-respect. Even if the kindness is offered with pure intent, the absence of clear boundaries can create an impression of submissiveness. To some, this perceived vulnerability becomes an open invitation to test limits, push boundaries, or take advantage. Another contributing factor to disrespect is the absence of reciprocity. Relationships thrive on balance, and when kindness is offered without an expectation of mutual respect or consideration, an unbalanced dynamic begins to form. For example, a person who constantly prioritizes the needs of a friend, colleague, or family member without asserting their boundaries may unknowingly set a precedent. Over time, their consistent selflessness can come to be seen not as generosity but as an obligation. The giver, in striving to be endlessly accommodating, risks becoming invisible, taken for granted, their contributions devalued, and their kindness assumed rather than appreciated. Human nature also includes a tendency to test limits, whether consciously or subconsciously. When someone consistently says yes, gives freely, and avoids asserting their needs, it can unintentionally invite others to take more. For example, a coworker who always agrees to take on extra tasks may gradually become the go-to person for additional work, even when it is unfair. The line between kindness and exploitation becomes blurred, and the giver is left feeling overburdened and undervalued. True kindness, however, is not weak or passive. It is active, deliberate, and fortified by self-respect. It understands the importance of balance, not just in relationships but within oneself. When kindness is paired with clear boundaries, it retains its strength and integrity. It allows the giver to remain compassionate without becoming a martyr and to nurture connections without losing sight of their worth. Boundaries transform kindness from a fleeting gesture into a sustainable act of love and respect that uplifts both the giver and the receiver. In its purest form, kindness is not merely about giving. It is about empowering. It is a gift of strength, a testament to humanity's capacity to nurture one another while preserving dignity and balance. By coupling kindness with boundaries, we ensure that it remains a force for good, untainted by resentment or misunderstanding, and capable of transforming lives, not through sacrifice, but through genuine care and unwavering strength. What begins as genuine gratitude for someone's willingness to help can subtly and insidiously evolve into expectation, and, over time, into entitlement. This progression is not always born from malice or selfish intent. Often, it is a natural psychological response to consistent patterns of behavior. Yet, the result remains the same. The kind-hearted individual transitions from being valued for their generosity to being overlooked or even disrespected. Their kindness, once cherished as a gift, is reduced to a mere assumption, an unspoken obligation that others feel entitled to without acknowledgement or appreciation. One of the most painful truths of human interactions is that familiarity can breed complacency. When acts of kindness become predictable or excessive, they risk losing their significance. Over time, what was once a thoughtful gesture is perceived as routine, expected, and unremarkable. The giver's intentions, no matter how pure or heartfelt, become buried beneath the weight of others' assumptions, leaving the kind person feeling invisible and undervalued. This erosion of respect is often exacerbated by an imbalance between outward kindness and inner confidence. People, whether consciously or subconsciously, are deeply perceptive. They don't just respond to actions, they also attune themselves to the energy and intent behind those actions. Kindness offered from a place of insecurity, fear of rejection, or an overwhelming need to gain approval carries a distinct undertone, one that can make the giver appear needy or desperate. Instead of inspiring admiration, such kindness may provoke pity, dismissal, or even exploitation. In contrast, kindness rooted in inner strength radiates authority, dignity, and self-respect. It conveys a message that the giver values themselves as much as they value others. This type of kindness demands respect, not by force but by its very nature. It is grounded, intentional, and unwavering. People are far more likely to honor and appreciate acts of kindness that stem from this place of self-assuredness because they are seen as conscious, meaningful, and unencumbered by ulterior motives. Societal conditioning also plays a significant role in how kindness is perceived and valued. In many cultures, kindness is sometimes equated with passivity, weakness, or a lack of assertiveness, particularly in competitive spaces such as workplaces, social hierarchies, or power dynamics. In these environments, individuals who lead with kindness, rather than assertiveness, may be unfairly labeled as soft or incapable of defending their interests. Their contributions, no matter how valuable, risk being dismissed or overshadowed by those who display more overt demonstrations of dominance or control. This perception often creates a heartbreaking dichotomy. The very quality that makes kind individuals so valuable, their generosity and compassion, is the same quality that some may exploit or diminish. In environments where respect is measured not by the depth of one's character but by the strength of one's boundaries, limitless kindness can unintentionally undermine its power. A kindness without limits can inadvertently signal to others that the giver will endure mistreatment, tolerate exploitation, or remain silent in the face of disrespect. The unfortunate reality is that, like material goods, human behavior is often subject to the principle of scarcity. Just as abundance can devalue physical resources, Kindness that is too frequent, too predictable, or too unconditional can lose its impact. For instance, if a person always forgives offenses, always says yes to requests, or consistently sacrifices their own needs, their actions risk being viewed as reflexive rather than intentional. Over time, their kindness is no longer seen as a gift but as a given, an automatic response stripped of its emotional depth. On the other hand, kindness that is measured, deliberate, and mindful carries an undeniable weight. When someone offers forgiveness sparingly, agrees to help thoughtfully, or sets firm but compassionate boundaries, their actions are seen as intentional acts of care rather than habitual responses. This scarcity elevates the perceived value of their kindness, making it more meaningful, respected, and appreciated. To prevent the erosion of respect, kind individuals must learn to temper their generosity with wisdom and restraint. Acts of kindness must come not from a place of obligation or insecurity but from a foundation of self-respect and inner abundance. By doing so, kindness remains a powerful, transformative force, one that uplifts others while preserving the dignity and well-being of the giver. Only when kindness is paired with discernment and boundaries can it flourish, inspiring both gratitude and respect in equal measure. A lack of assertive communication only deepens the problem. Kind-hearted individuals often shy away from confrontation, fearing that speaking up might jeopardize their relationships. However, this avoidance leaves a void, one filled with unclear expectations, unspoken frustrations, and unmet needs. When limits and desires are not expressed openly, others are left to interpret them, often inaccurately. This miscommunication can inadvertently lead to behaviors that feel dismissive or disrespectful, even when no malice was intended. Disrespect often emerges not from cruelty, but from complacency. People can grow so accustomed to consistent acts of kindness that they fail to see them as exceptional. Over time, these gestures of care, whether it's a family member preparing every meal without complaint, a friend always lending an empathetic ear, or a colleague habitually picking up extra responsibilities, begin to fade into the background. What once inspired gratitude becomes an expectation. The kindness is no longer noticed, much less celebrated. It is simply assumed. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This invisibility can be one of the deepest pains for a kind person, whose efforts go unacknowledged while their own needs are overlooked. Over time, this imbalance of giving and receiving can lead to a subtle yet destructive power shift in relationships. The giver, drained and undervalued, begins to feel trapped in a cycle of unreciprocated generosity, while the recipient grows entitled, seeing the giver's kindness as a right rather than a privilege. Without intervention, this dynamic erodes the mutual respect that forms the foundation of healthy relationships. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness or rejection but an essential component of kindness. Far from creating division, boundaries are the structures that nurture and sustain meaningful relationships. They provide clarity, protect emotional and physical well-being, and foster mutual respect. Boundaries communicate an important message. I care about you, but I also value myself. This balance is what makes kindness sustainable, ensuring it remains a choice rather than an obligation. Boundaries serve as a reminder that kindness is not an infinite resource to be exploited but a conscious act of giving. Without them, the line between generosity and duty becomes blurred. Over time, people may come to assume that your role in their lives is solely to meet their needs. This misinterpretation can breed entitlement, eroding the appreciation and respect that should accompany your acts of kindness. Boundaries prevent this by making it clear that kindness is intentional and deliberate, not a given. A key reason boundaries are crucial is that they define the conditions under which help and generosity can be extended. Consider the example of a friend who frequently asks for financial assistance. Without clear boundaries, you might feel compelled to say yes every time, even if it strains your finances or emotional well-being. This unchecked dynamic can lead to frustration for you and dependency on your friend, who may avoid addressing the root cause of their struggles. Establishing a boundary, such as limiting how often you lend money or offering support in non-financial ways, ensures that your kindness remains constructive, rather than enabling harmful patterns. Boundaries are not just necessary for protecting your resources, they are vital for maintaining emotional balance. Those in caregiving roles, such as parents, teachers, or healthcare professionals, are particularly vulnerable to burnout when they prioritize others' needs at the expense of their own. For example, a parent who enforces a bedtime for their child is not being unkind. They are setting a boundary that ensures both the child and the parent get the rest they need. Similarly, a professional who declines to work overtime every weekend is safeguarding their mental health, which ultimately allows them to excel in their role. Healthy boundaries also foster trust and predictability in relationships. When others understand your limits, they are less likely to overstep them unintentionally. This clarity reduces misunderstandings and strengthens connections. Imagine a colleague who knows you are unavailable after 7 p.m. for work-related matters. They are more likely to plan their communications respectfully, avoiding unnecessary conflict or frustration. By setting boundaries, you create a sense of reliability in your interactions, ensuring that your relationships are rooted in mutual respect. Boundaries do more than protect your well-being. They model healthy behavior for those around you. Many people struggle with overextending themselves, driven by guilt, obligation, or the fear of disappointing others. By demonstrating that it is possible to be kind while honoring your own needs, you inspire others to do the same. For instance, a friend who observes you taking time for self-care, despite a hectic schedule, may feel encouraged to prioritize their well-being. This ripple effect leads to healthier dynamics and stronger relationships. Perhaps most importantly, boundaries ensure that kindness remains genuine rather than performative. When you say yes to something you genuinely want to do, your kindness is heartfelt and authentic. Conversely, when you say yes out of obligation or fear, your actions may carry an undercurrent of resentment. Even if unspoken, this resentment can subtly erode the quality of your relationships over time. By setting clear boundaries, you allow yourself to give freely, without hidden frustrations or unspoken sacrifices. This authenticity not only preserves the integrity of your kindness but also ensures that it is received as the gift it truly is. Ultimately, boundaries are not walls that isolate, they are bridges that connect. They allow kindness to flourish in a way that uplifts both the giver and the recipient. They remind us that kindness is not about losing ourselves in service to others, but about finding a balance that honors our humanity while elevating those around us. Through thoughtful boundaries, kindness becomes not just a fleeting act but a lasting, transformative force. A common misconception about setting boundaries is that they hurt or disappoint others. While it's true that some people may initially react with resistance or discomfort, the long-term benefits far outweigh these fleeting moments of tension. Boundaries, when communicated with clarity and compassion, strengthen relationships by creating a framework of mutual respect and understanding. They foster a sense of security and predictability in interactions, allowing both parties to navigate their connection with confidence and trust. For instance, a friend who respects your need for alone time will cherish your presence more deeply when you are together. They will recognize that your companionship is not given out of obligation or guilt but as a deliberate choice born of care and intention. Boundaries, therefore, are not barriers to connection. They are pathways to deeper, more authentic relationships. Equally important, boundaries are a profound act of kindness to yourself. They safeguard your time, energy, and emotional well-being, enabling you to pour your resources into what truly matters. Far from being selfish, this self-care is a foundational requirement for extending kindness to others. When your own needs are consistently neglected, you risk becoming emotionally drained and physically exhausted, making it harder to show up for those around you in meaningful and sustainable ways. By honoring your limits, you ensure that your kindness is not a finite resource to be depleted but a renewable force that uplifts both you and those you care for. Boundaries also serve as an empowering gift to others by fostering accountability and self-reliance. When you habitually step in to solve someone's problems or shoulder their burdens, you may inadvertently hinder their growth. By setting a boundary, such as declining to do tasks they are capable of managing on their own, you gently but firmly encourage them to develop their skills, confidence, and independence. Consider a manager who sets clear expectations for their team and resists the urge to micromanage. By trusting employees to take ownership of their work, the manager not only fosters a sense of empowerment but also creates an environment where individuals can thrive and grow. Similarly, a parent who encourages their child to face the consequences of their actions, rather than shielding them from discomfort, teaches resilience and responsibility. When kindness is guided by wisdom, it has the power to transform relationships in profound and lasting ways. Kindness alone is a beautiful virtue, but when combined with discernment, it becomes a force that fosters mutual respect, growth, and deeper understanding. Without wisdom, kindness can be misinterpreted, misused, or misplaced, leading to frustration, imbalance, or even unintended harm in relationships. Wisdom refines kindness by helping individuals recognize when and how to act. Not every situation calls for the same type of kindness, and responding thoughtfully is essential to ensure that your actions meet the moment's true needs. For example, comforting a grieving friend requires a different approach than addressing a colleague's repeated lapses in responsibility. Wisdom allows you to assess each situation with clarity, tailoring your kindness to fit the circumstances. Sometimes, this might mean offering encouragement and support. Other times, it may involve holding someone accountable with firm but compassionate honesty. One of wisdom's greatest gifts is its ability to teach us the value of listening and observing before we act. Many acts of kindness, though well-intentioned, miss their mark because they are based on assumptions rather than a genuine understanding of the other person's needs. For example, offering unsolicited advice to someone wrestling with a difficult decision might come across as intrusive, even if it's meant to help. A wiser approach would be to ask thoughtful questions, listen attentively, and seek to understand their perspective before offering input. This kind of thoughtful kindness demonstrates respect for the other person's autonomy and fosters trust, showing that you value their unique experiences and feelings. Another transformative aspect of wisdom is its ability to balance kindness with boundaries. Without boundaries, kindness can become overextended, leading to burnout, resentment, or an unhealthy dynamic where others take your generosity for granted. Wisdom helps you discern when to give freely and when to step back, ensuring that your kindness is sustainable and empowering rather than depleting or enabling. Imagine a friend who frequently asks for help but rarely reciprocates. Wisdom might guide you to recognize that always saying yes not only drains your resources but also prevents your friend from developing the skills or resilience they need. Setting a boundary in this situation, such as offering assistance only when it's truly needed or suggesting alternative solutions, allows you to preserve your well-being while encouraging your friend to grow. At its core, wisdom transforms kindness into a conscious, intentional force that strengthens relationships and nurtures personal growth. It ensures that your acts of generosity are not only meaningful but also effective, fostering deeper understanding, mutual respect, and lasting connection. With wisdom, kindness becomes more than a virtue. It becomes a tool for building a world where both you and those around you can thrive. While kindness inspires us to give freely, wisdom gently reminds us that giving must be sustainable. Relationships flourish when both parties feel valued, respected, and seen for their contributions. Wisdom acts as a compass, guiding the kind-hearted individual to recognize when an imbalance begins to form, when one person consistently takes without offering anything in return, leaving the relationship weighted with unspoken tension and unaddressed needs. In such moments, wisdom empowers the kind person to address the issue with honesty and grace. It encourages them to express their feelings openly, not with accusations or bitterness, but with compassion and clarity. This delicate balance ensures that kindness does not become a breeding ground for resentment or exploitation. By setting boundaries and communicating with care, the kind person protects the integrity of the relationship while safeguarding their well-being. Wisdom, when woven into kindness, also transforms the way conflicts are navigated. Disagreements, though often uncomfortable, are inevitable in any relationship. But it is not the presence of conflict that defines the strength of a bond. It is how those conflicts are managed. A wise approach to discord uses kindness not as a tool to avoid confrontation, but as a bridge to understanding. It recognizes that behind every clash of words or perspectives lies an opportunity for growth and connection. For instance, instead of responding defensively to criticism, a wise and kind person might take a step back, acknowledge the other person's feelings, and seek to understand their concerns. This approach does not dismiss their perspective but prioritizes empathy and a willingness to listen. By de-escalating tension and fostering open, respectful communication, they create a space where both parties feel heard and valued. Even in the face of challenges, such wisdom deepens trust and strengthens the relationship, turning moments of conflict into opportunities for healing and growth. Another profound gift of wisdom is its ability to ensure that kindness is empowering rather than enabling. While it is natural to want to help others, especially those we care about, it is essential to consider whether our actions are fostering independence or perpetuating dependence. True kindness, guided by wisdom, seeks to uplift and strengthen rather than to rescue or shield. It requires the courage to ask hard questions. Am I truly helping this person grow, or am I simply easing their discomfort in the moment? Is my kindness contributing to their long-term well-being, or am I inadvertently enabling harmful patterns? For example, a parent who continually solves their child's problems may unintentionally rob them of the chance to develop resilience and problem-solving skills. Similarly, a friend who always steps in to bail someone out of financial or personal trouble might unintentionally prevent them from learning accountability. Wisdom intervenes here, urging the kind person to pause and consider the broader impact of their actions. Sometimes, the kindest thing to do is to step back and let the other person navigate their challenges, even if it feels uncomfortable in the short term. Wisdom also shapes kindness into a deliberate, thoughtful force that adapts to the needs of each situation. Not all acts of kindness are created equal, and a wise person understands that context matters deeply. Comforting a grieving friend requires a softness and attentiveness that differs from addressing a colleague's repeated irresponsibility. Wisdom enables the kind person to discern when to offer support, when to gently challenge, and when to stand firm. This discernment ensures that kindness is not only well-intentioned but also truly effective, fostering growth and understanding rather than simply soothing immediate discomfort. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Incorporating wisdom into kindness also transforms the givers themselves. It nurtures a sense of balance and purpose, allowing acts of generosity to feel fulfilling rather than draining. By aligning their kindness with their values and boundaries, the wise individual ensures that their giving is both authentic and sustainable. They understand that kindness without wisdom can become a source of frustration, while wisdom without kindness risks becoming cold or detached. Together, these qualities create a harmonious balance that uplifts relationships and enriches the lives of all involved. Ultimately, wisdom enhances kindness by making it intentional, sustainable, and deeply impactful. It ensures that acts of compassion are not only genuine but also constructive, fostering mutual respect, resilience, and growth. In a world often marked by misunderstanding and division, kindness infused with wisdom becomes a beacon of hope, one that bridges gaps, heals wounds, and nurtures connections that endure the test of time. As we come to the end of this discussion, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored. From the power of kindness balanced with wisdom to the importance of setting boundaries that foster mutual respect and sustainability, there is so much to take away and apply to our own lives. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned today? What is one insight that resonated with you the most? And how do you plan to bring it into practice in your daily life? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to learn from each other and grow together. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue creating meaningful conversations. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.